Freedom fighters, I'm back with another one. Well, I guess this is why they call it New Mexico, because it wants to be the New Mexico. Well, I'm sure you heard by now the obvious unconstitutional order from the governor over there, but she said, they're having a gun epidemic, and this is a health emergency, so she's suspending the Second Amendment for 30 days. Well, yeah, I mean, they're definitely on the path to becoming the New Mexico, all right. No freedoms and corruption and communism, basically. Even though I think Texas is going to be the New Mexico. And I've been saying that for a long time. I mean, at least back from 2010 or 2012. And I used to get a lot of pushback on that. People were always, everyone's so proud to be Texan, especially if they're Texans. And the attitude was always like, oh, you'll never see that happen in Texas. Oh, they'll never do that in Texas. And I'm like, man, it's pretty clear where Texas has been headed for a long time. And I've been saying it for a long time, and people are like, oh, no. And I'm like, obviously, look what's happening at the border. You're allowing an invasion to happen. You don't think that the politics are going to change? You don't think the atmosphere is going to change in Texas? Of course it is. You got politicians like Beto openly, calling to take away your rights, saying, hell yeah, we're going to take your AR, hell yeah, we're going to take your AK. And, no one even blinked an eye. And when I was telling people about that, they were like, oh, Beto doesn't have a Ice Cube's chance in hell of winning this election. And it's like, well, maybe. And then when he lost, I forget what it was like 60-40 or something. And I'm like, I mean, do you people feel good about that? I mean, honestly, tell me, like, 60-40 is too close to my comfort. And I know in the world of elections, people are like, a 20-point lead is a landslide victory. It's not even close. And I don't even think it was that. I think it was like, I don't know, 44-56 or something like that. I have to do math, if that's even right. But, yeah, Ted Cruz, slipped it out by however many 14, 16, 18, 20 points. But I'm like, the fact you even have a politician openly talking about that, and I forget, one of these large content creators on here were like, oh, I'd love to have Beto on my podcast or, whatnot, so we can debate the issues. And I'm like, treason is not a debatable issue. Like, why do we even, and I'm sure I've said this before in some of my other videos, like, why do we even act like these are debatable issues? Like, let's have a conversation about it. And no, there's no conversation to be had with things that are set in stone. So, yeah, and that was the other thing, to get back on topic with what's going on here in New Mexico and this governor's order, which she was saying that they're not set in stone. And that these amendments are your rights. No rights are absolute, she said. No rights are absolute. And I'm going to do a KGP, a Kareem Jean-Pierre, and say I'm going to circle back to that. But remember that I said that nothing's absolute. So, what about slavery or women's rights, or, explain more. Which rights aren't absolute? Is it only the right to bear arms and remain free citizens? Is that what you're talking about, or what is it? But yeah, I'm going to circle back. But I have seen a lot of other channels talking about, what should happen to her. What should be the consequences of this? And, I don't know. What are the consequences for people who commit treason? But at the very least, she needs to be arrested. I mean, at the very least. And when I said I was going to circle back, is because I've heard that before. The no rights are absolute. And that's what Biden says. Whenever he talks about the Second Amendment, too, he says, listen, man, he's like, nothing's absolute. And, they always go from this, the Constitution is a living, breathing document, and we can change it, and, none of this stuff is absolute. So what I'm getting with this is she needs to be arrested on conspiracy. Because I know for sure she didn't just come up with this with her out of her, thin air on her own. They've talked about this. And those news clips where like 20 different news stations are saying the exact same thing, cuz they're all getting their cue cards from the same place. The Soros organizations, the World Economic Forum, the WHO, the UN, all this. They're all getting their cue cards from the same place. And this whole, it's a health emergency, didn't I forget that lady's name, but the WHO lady say that gun violence was the new health epidemic? So this is all coming out of the play. This is what they're doing, and this is the test run. Can we get away with it? Can we say that, we have to suspend the Constitution because it's an emergency? And that's not how it works. Your rights don't just get suspended on any emergencies. So yeah, there's definitely conspiracy behind the scenes going on. So subpoena her phones, get all her records, all her text messages, and everybody associated to her. Her office clerks, her secretary, down to the dog walker. I mean, why not? They did it to Trump. His lawyers, everything, down to the maid cleaning his house. Say, yeah, what were you doing in that house? Did you move any documents? Did you do this? Did you do that? I mean, talk to her maid. Talk to her dog walker. And see, did you ever talk to this lady about, you don't like the Second Amendment, you want to suspend citizen rights? Well, then you conspired to commit treason. And I'm telling you, man, this goes far and deep. This probably came down from the president. It probably came down from Biden. But again, he's just the puppet. He's taking the orders from all these WHOs, WEF, UN, etc., the whole list. So second thing is, and I'm saying she should be arrested. Why didn't they arrest her? I mean, she said this next to the chief of police, and I think the AG or the sheriff or something like that. I forget who they were, but two cops or something right by her side. Why didn't they stand right up and throw her in cuffs and say, you're threatening to deprive the citizens of their rights, their constitutional rights? And by the way, even Congressman Lou, I think is how you say it, who's a Democrat, and for all these unconstitutional gun laws, even came out and said, you can't do this. This isn't how it works. You don't just wave a wand and wipe citizens, rights away. They believe in, people like him believe in, they'll say do it the legal way, through legislation and Congress and all that. But none of it even matters. Like, you can't write laws. What you put on paper does not dictate my freedoms. So none of it matters. But even he is like, no, you can't just wave the wand. And then you got gun control activists like David Hogg and stuff like that, who said the same thing. Like, you can't do this. And, Hogg wants the same thing. He wants to take your guns away. But, and he virtue signals every once in a while. And I think he said he's a gun owner. And he posted a picture of him one time on Instagram or something. And he was at this rich, country club. And he's like, look at me, I'm a gun owner and I'm shooting skeet at the country club. Like all these other country club Republicans, rhinos who just, virtue signal. They're not actually for your rights. They just every once in a while, usually around campaign season, pick up, a double barrel shotgun and say, I'm for the Second Amendment. Yeah, but these cops should have arrested her. But the cops never arrest their own, and they never arrest the politicians. And I know there's some videos out here of cops arresting cops. Like, there's a video on here of a cop that was drunk driving, and he was swerving and hit some cars or something. He passed out on the side of the road, and, they locked him up. And there's another cop that beat his wife, and she was in the hospital, and said, he did it, and they went and picked him up. And then there's that one video of, I think it was like the sheriff, and he was in the middle of his power trip, and he was arresting some dude, and this female deputy came behind him and tapped him on the shoulder and said something like, I forget what it was, telling him, you have to read him the Miranda rights or something, and he turned around and grabbed her by the neck, and said, don't you ever come behind me and tell me to do something. And then they arrested him for assaulting, the female officer. But, when I'm saying they don't arrest their own is when they see them do obviously unconstitutional things, which are at the highest order. The most serious crimes. If you were with your partner in the car and you're in one of these non-free states and you see someone open carrying or something, and your partner's like, look at that, man, like, he's open carrying, like, let's go get him on a carry violation or something. That partner should be like, well, Officer Smith, now you're under arrest for conspiring to deprive citizen so-and-so of their God-given constitutional rights. But you never see that happen. And if it has, please send me that video and make me aware of that video, because I'd love to see that. But, that never happens. And, I guess on other news, I want to touch on Biden, too, about, I was going to do a 9/11 video, but at the same time, it's kind of getting old as far as, everybody knows the deal. And if you don't know, you should look into it and figure it out. But, hiding Biden wasn't anywhere to be found. And I forget, he went somewhere else. But, and then he decided to commit his own act of treason and give another $6 billion to the terrorist regime of Iran. Which I don't know what their deal is, the Obama administration, because it still is the Obama administration giving pallets of cash to Iran. But yeah, he gave him $6 billion, more of your tax dollars. Again, it's all about these foreign countries. It's all about sending more money to Iran, sending more money to Ukraine, littering the whole world with fake fiat US dollars. But can you get any of it? When the U.S. is in trouble, right? The Hawaiians, I just did a video on this. The Hawaiians who had their whole lives uprooted and their house burned down and their family members are missing, they get a water bottle and $700. And then they say, get out of here. Good riddance. Throw them to the wayside. But, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much your weekly roundup. And I might do stuff like that, more often. I mean, I've been really busy lately, so I've been pretty much just doing a video a week anyway, but I might do more like weekly roundup type of videos and touch on a couple different topics. I don't even know, but yeah, for now, you know what I always say. We are on our own. No one's coming to save us, so get right with God, because only God can save you. Freedom Fighters out.